Oh, can you feel the quiet hum of serenity as General Michael Adams strolls down the tree-lined streets of this upscale neighborhood, his heart light and his steps soft on the sun-warmed pavement? The late afternoon sun bathes the world in a golden glow, casting long shadows that dance around him, and Michael, tall and strong with that athletic build forged by years of military service, breathes in the calm. There's an undeniable air of authority in his posture, a quiet confidence that radiates even in his casual white t-shirt and jeans. This place is his sanctuary, a retreat he bought years ago, a cozy house just blocks away where he escapes the relentless demands of his career as a high-ranking U.S. Army general. Can you imagine the peace he finds here, unwinding from the weight of command, savoring these simple moments? Today's walk is just another chance to soak in the stillness, the chirping birds, the rustling leaves, a rare slice of normalcy for a man who's faced battles most can't fathom. But oh, how that tranquility shatters as Officer James Davis prowls in his patrol car, his eyes narrowing like a predator on the hunt. The engine purrs softly, the car crawling through this affluent suburb, and Davis, with his 10 years on the force, fancies himself the guardian of its pristine order. His fingers tap the steering wheel, his gaze sweeping over manicured lawns, kids' bikes propped against fences, gardeners clipping hedges. Everything's perfect, just as it should be. Then, bam, he spots Michael, a black man walking alone, casual as can be, and something in Davis's gut twists. Why is he here? Who is this guy? Michael's relaxed stride, his unhurried pace, it all screams suspicion to Davis. In this wealthy, mostly white neighborhood, a black man strolling calmly? That doesn't add up in Davis's skewed world. Can you believe the snap judgment, the prejudice igniting in his mind? Davis mutters under his breath, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" His instincts, warped by years of bias, scream that Michael's out of place, maybe scoping houses, maybe lost, but definitely up to no good. Oh, the arrogance of assuming guilt based on nothing but skin color. He slows the car, tailing Michael, his jaw tightening when Michael glances at the cruiser, his face calm, unbothered, like he belongs. That cool indifference? It grates on Davis, challenges his control, and he hates it. No way is he letting this slide. He jerks the car to the curb, parks, and steps out, his belt jingling with the tools of authority, his radio clipped to his shoulder. Michael keeps walking, oblivious to the storm approaching, and Davis's annoyance flares. How dare this guy act so nonchalant? "Hey, you there!" Davis barks, his voice slicing through the quiet street, and Michael stops, turning with a steady gaze that meets Davis's head-on. "Yes, officer?" "Is there a problem?" he asks, his tone even unflinching, like he's faced far worse than a cop's glare. Davis pauses, sizing him up, and Michael's calm, his relaxed stance, only fuels his suspicion. Why isn't this guy nervous? "What are you doing here?" Davis demands, his voice sharp, dripping with accusation. "Just taking a walk." Michael replies, his voice smooth, unshaken. "Is that not allowed?" Davis's frown deepens. Oh, that calm tone. It's like a slap to his ego. He steps closer, squaring his shoulders, trying to loom larger. "I'm gonna need to see some ID," he says, his voice heavy with command, daring Michael to resist. Michael raises an eyebrow, unruffled. "Why? Am I being accused of something?" Davis's patience frays. How dare this man question him? "This is a private neighborhood," he snaps. "We don't usually see people like you around here. I have the right to question anyone who seems out of place." The words "people like you" hang like a venomous cloud, and Michael sighs softly, the weight of that racism sinking in. Can you feel the sting of those words? "I live nearby," he says, his voice still even, just a few blocks over. "I'm not doing anything wrong, officer. I'm just enjoying a walk." "Show me some ID." Davis repeats, his hand drifting to his belt, where his radio and gear dangle, a subtle threat. He's itching for control, trained to dominate any situation, and Michael's composure is a challenge he can't stand. Michael reaches into his pocket, slow and deliberate, pulling out his wallet with a steady hand, holding up his ID. Davis snatches it, his eyes scanning the name, Michael Adams, and the address, a local one, just blocks away. A flicker of surprise crosses his face, really. But it's not enough to sway him. Something's still off, maybe that unshakable calm, maybe just his own stubborn bias. "I've never seen you around here before," he says, his tone hard. "How long have you lived here?" "Several years." Michael answers, his voice patient but firm. "I'm not out much, usually working." "I don't see why this is necessary." Davis's face flushes, questioned again. His grip tightens on the ID, anger simmering. "Necessary or not, I have a job to do," he snaps. "We've had reports of suspicious activity in the area. I need to make sure everything's in order." The lie about reports is flimsy, but Davis clings to it, desperate to justify his actions. Michael stays silent, his eyes locked on Davis, no fear, no retreat, and Davis hates it, hates that he's not in charge here. "Stay right here," he orders, his voice a growl. "Don't move." Davis storms back to his cruiser, his heart pounding with irritation and a nagging doubt he won't admit. He glances at Michael, standing calmly, waiting, and that unease grows. What's wrong with this picture? Something doesn't feel right, but Davis shoves it down. He's the law, the protector of this neighborhood, and he can't back off now. Can you sense the storm brewing in his mind, the clash of prejudice and instinct? He slides into the driver's seat, eyes on Michael through the rearview mirror, fingers typing the ID details into the system, the screen's glow casting harsh shadows on his tense face. A storm cloud of doubt hangs heavy. Oh, what's he about to unleash? On the sidewalk, Michael stands tall, his breathing steady, his calm a shield against Davis's glare. The street's quiet, save for the chirping birds and the soft hum of the patrol car, but Michael feels the weight of those eyes, that scrutiny burning from a distance. His muscles tense, not from fear but from the injustice of it all. Can you imagine the frustration, knowing you've done nothing wrong yet facing this? Davis's tone, his insistence that Michael's out of place, the way his hand hovered near his belt, it's a look Michael's seen too often, a mix of suspicion and power aimed at those deemed different. Oh, the weariness of facing that prejudice, even as a decorated general. Michael glances around, noticing the curious stares creeping in, a man with a garden hose gawking, water spilling forgotten, a woman with her dog, phone poised to record, her eyes darting away when he meets them. The last thing he wanted was this, a spectacle, a confrontation, but here it is, unfolding like a bad dream. He takes a deep breath, steadying himself. He's got nothing to hide, but Davis is fishing, hunting for a reason to justify the stop, and Michael knows it. Can you feel the patience it takes to stay calm, to let this play out when every instinct screams to fight back? He reminds himself, anger won't help, not now. Let it unfold, he thinks, his military training anchoring him in discipline. Davis sits in his cruiser, tapping at the computer, his face a mask of irritation, but that doubt gnaws deeper. Something's off. The ID's local, the record's clean, but Michael's calm, his refusal to cower, it's all wrong in Davis's twisted view. He steps out, ID in hand, striding back to Michael, standing too close, puffing up to dominate. "Your record's clean," he says, almost disappointed, like he wanted dirt to vindicate his bias. "But that doesn't explain why you're here." "I already told you," Michael says, his voice steady, unshaken. "I live here. I'm out for a walk, that's all." Davis's face flushes, his frown deepening as he notices the growing crowd, neighbors peeking, whispering, watching. He hates this challenge, this defiance in front of an audience. "Look," he growls, his voice low, menacing. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Tell me exactly what you're doing here, or I take you in for questioning. It's up to you." Oh, the audacity of that threat, pushing for control, for submission. Michael's anger flickers, but he keeps it locked tight, his eyes steady, his voice calm. "I've told you everything you need to know," he says, unyielding, and Davis's jaw clenches, defiance again. He's losing grip, and he can't stand it. The neighbor's eyes burn into him, and he snaps, "You're coming with me," grabbing Michael's arm, his grip tight, yanking him toward the cruiser. Michael tenses, his training SCR, aiming to resist, but he knows, that would only make it worse. The cold snap of cuffs bites his wrists, and he asks, "Is this really necessary?" His voice firm, unshaken. Davis ignores him, shoving Michael toward the car's back door. "Get in," he barks, and Michael complies, sliding into the seat, hands bound, his heart pounding with frustration, but his face calm. The crowd watches, confused, concerned. The woman's phone still recording. Will that save him? Davis slams the door, the sound echoing like a gavel, and Michael sits, the injustice searing his soul. A peaceful walk turned into this, handcuffed, treated like a criminal, all because of his skin. Can you feel the rage, the disbelief, that this is his reality? He hears Davis radioing the station, his voice tense, and Michael leans back, breathing deep. This isn't over, not by a long shot. The fight for respect, for equality, burns brighter than ever, and he's ready to face it no matter what comes next. Oh, can you feel the fire flickering deep within General Michael Adams as he stands resolute on that quiet sidewalk, his heart pounding with a righteous anger he keeps tightly reined? Officer James Davis looms before him, his jaw clenched, his eyes blazing with a need to dominate, and Michael senses the tactic, intimidation, a relentless push to make him crack. But Michael's no stranger to pressure. He's faced battlefields, led troops through chaos, and he won't break now. "I've told you everything you need to know," he says, his voice even, steady as steel, cutting through the tension like a blade. Can you hear the strength in those words? The unyielding resolve of a man who knows his truth. Davis's face twists, his teeth grinding as he snaps. "The only mistake I see is someone thinking they can walk around this neighborhood without being questioned. Now, are you going to cooperate, or do I need to escalate this?" The threat hangs heavy, dripping with arrogance. Escalate. For what? Michael's patience frays, worn thin by Davis's refusal to listen, his blatant dismissal of reason. This isn't about safety, oh no. It's about control, about Davis asserting power over a black man he sees as a threat, judged solely by the color of his skin. Michael glances at the growing crowd, neighbors peering from yards, a man with a hose, a woman recording with her phone, and his resolve hardens. "Officer, I'm not resisting," he says, his voice steady, a beacon of calm in the storm. "But I know my rights. You've got no grounds to arrest me. I've done nothing wrong." Can you feel the weight of that defiance, standing tall against injustice? Davis's eyes flash with fury, his control slipping. "I'll decide what's wrong and what's right," he snarls, and shockingly, he lunges, grabbing Michael's arm with a grip like iron. "You're coming with me." Michael tenses, his military training surging, every instinct screaming to overpower this overzealous cop. But he knows resisting would only make this worse, fuel Davis's twisted narrative. He lets Davis yank him toward the patrol car, the rough snap of handcuffs biting into his wrists, cold and unyielding. "Is this really necessary?" Michael asks, his voice firm, unshaken, even as the injustice burns like fire in his chest. Davis ignores him, his face flushed with triumph, shoving Michael toward the cruiser's back door. "Get in," he barks, and Michael complies, sliding into the seat, hands bound, his heart thundering with frustration, but his face a mask of calm. He looks out at the onlookers, confused neighbors, the woman still recording, her phone a silent witness, and hopes that footage will keep this from spiraling further. Can you imagine the humiliation, the rage of being cuffed for nothing? Davis slams the door, the sound echoing like a prison gate, and Michael feels a tidal wave of frustration crash over him. A peaceful walk, meant to clear his mind. Now this, handcuffed, treated like a criminal, all because of his skin color and Davis's baseless assumptions. He hears Davis radioing the station, his voice tense, and Michael leans back, breathing deep, steeling himself. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Oh, the fight for respect, for equality, burns fiercer than ever. The ride to the station is silent, but the tension's so thick you could cut it with a knife. Michael sits in the back, wrists chafed by the cold metal cuffs, his eyes fixed forward, ignoring Davis's occasional glances in the rearview mirror, those smug, probing looks. The tree-lined streets blur into busy town roads, and Michael's mind races, not with fear, but with disbelief. How did a simple walk turn into this? Can you fathom the injustice, a decorated general reduced to a suspect for no reason? Davis pulls into the station lot, packed with police cruisers, and yanks open the back door, grabbing Michael's arm with a roughness that screams control. The station buzzes with life, officers darting about, radios crackling, files in hand, and as Davis marches Michael inside, curious eyes flick their way, whispers trailing like smoke. Oh, the sting of those stares, the weight of scrutiny Michael's faced before, but never like this, paraded like a criminal. Michael's spent his life upholding order, defending his nation, and now he's dragged through a police station, the very system he's sworn to protect turning on him. Davis shoves open a holding room door, a stark space with bare walls, a table and 2 chairs, and motions for Michael to sit. Michael complies, his posture straight, his dignity unbroken, while Davis stands by the door, arms crossed, a smug, self-satisfied smirk on his face. Can you believe that arrogance? "You'll stay here till we sort this out," Davis says, his tone clipped, dripping with authority. Michael meets his gaze, unflinching. "What exactly are we sorting out, officer? You've got my ID. You know I live here. What more do you need?" Davis's eyes harden, his face flushing. "I need to know why you were in that neighborhood, why you thought you could just walk around like you own the place," he snaps, and Michael's frustration bubbles, barely contained. "I wasn't doing anything wrong. I live there. I've done nothing to deserve this." Davis's anger erupts, his voice a venomous hiss. "People like you don't just walk around neighborhoods like that without a reason. You could have been casing houses, looking for trouble." Michael's eyes narrow, his voice low, cutting. "People like me? What do you mean by that, officer?" The room falls silent, the tension so thick it chokes the air. Davis's jaw clenches, but he says nothing, his silence screaming guilt. Michael senses the fury, the desperate need to control, to prove a point, and knows this isn't about him. It's about what he represents to Davis, a challenge to his warped order. The door swings open, and Sergeant Laura Smith steps in, tall and composed, her short brown hair framing a face of professionalism tinged with concern. Oh, what a shift, a voice of reason piercing the chaos. She glances at Davis, then Michael, her sharp eyes assessing the scene. "What's going on here?" she asks, her voice steady, commanding answers. Davis straightens, puffing up. "Found him walking in the upscale neighborhood, acting suspicious. He refused to explain himself, so I brought him in." Smith's gaze shifts to Michael, fair but piercing. "Is that true?" Michael nods slightly, his voice calm, unshaken. "I was out for a walk. Davis questioned me, I gave him my ID, told him I live nearby. That wasn't enough." Smith turns to Davis, her tone firm. "Did you run his ID?" "Yes," Davis replies, quick, defensive. "It came back clean, but you still brought him in?" Smith cuts him off, her voice like a whip. "On what grounds?" Davis falters, squirming under her scrutiny. "He was acting suspicious," he insists. "I was doing my job, keeping the neighborhood safe." Smith's sigh is heavy, her arms crossing. "This man is a high-ranking general in the United States Army," she says, her voice low but clear, a bombshell that shakes the room. "You've brought him in without cause, in handcuffs, no less. Do you realize what you've done, Davis?" Davis blinks, stunned, his face paling. I didn't know," he stammers, but Smith's eyes narrow, her voice steel. "It shouldn't matter who he is. Your job is to protect and serve, not judge based on looks. This is unacceptable. Release him now." Davis fumbles with the keys, his hands shaking as he unlocks the cuffs, and Michael's wrists are free, the ache lingering as he rubs them lightly. He stands, towering over Davis, his demeanor calm but commanding. "Sergeant Smith," he says, his voice steady, resonant. "Thank you for your professionalism, but this isn't just about me. It's about how officers like Davis approach their duty." Smith nods, her face grave. "I agree, General Adams. We'll address this further. This incident will be handled properly." Michael looks at Davis, still reeling, and says quietly, "I hope this is a wake-up call. Judging someone by their appearance can lead to dangerous mistakes." Smith gestures to the door. "Let's take this to my office," she says. "We need to talk about what happened today." As they leave the holding room, Michael walks beside Smith, feeling the weight of officers' stares, whispers trailing them. This isn't over, it's just the start. Oh, the conversations that need to happen, the changes that must come. If this is the spark, so be it. In Smith's office, Michael sits across from her as she starts a report, Davis left outside, his face a mix of shame and confusion. Michael watches him through the glass, his mind on the long road ahead, not just one cop's actions, but the culture that let this happen. He's fought battles his whole life. This is another, and he's ready to see it through. The fight for respect, for equality, doesn't end on the battlefield. It's in every street, every interaction. Smith sets down her pen, looking at Michael, her voice sincere. "I'm sorry for what happened," she says. "We'll make sure this doesn't go unnoticed." Michael nods, his gaze steady. "It's not about apologies, Sergeant. It's about ensuring this doesn't happen again, to anyone." Smith agrees, her voice firm. "We'll start with Davis, then tackle the bigger picture. Change takes time, but it starts here." The office falls silent, tension lingering, but Michael's calm, alert, ready for what's next. Oh, the resolve in his heart, the purpose driving him forward. This isn't just his fight, it's for everyone facing the same injustice, and he's in it for the long haul. Oh, can you feel the weight of a lifetime's battles in General Michael Adams's voice as he leans forward in Sergeant Laura Smith's office, his piercing eyes locking onto hers with a fire that speaks of both pain and purpose? "Sergeant," he says, his tone steady but brimming with raw emotion, "I've spent my life in service. I've led troops through the chaos of combat, made life-or-death decisions, faced crises that would break most men. And yes, I've endured prejudice, whispered, blatant, quiet, and loud. But today? Today was different. I was treated like a criminal for doing nothing more than walking in my own neighborhood. Can you imagine that? I've fought for this country, bled for it, and yet I'm seen as a threat just because of how I look." The words pour out, each one a hammer strike, carrying the sting of injustice that burns deep in his soul. Oh, what a gut punch, to be reduced to a suspect in the very place you call home. Sergeant Smith listens, her face etched with seriousness, her brown eyes steady but heavy with understanding. "We're here to protect everyone, General," she says, her voice firm yet tinged with regret. "But you're absolutely right. Sometimes we let our biases cloud our judgment. Davis, he's been a good officer, but this isn't the first time I've heard whispers about his behavior." Michael nods, his jaw tight, the weight of her words settling like a stone. "It's not just about punishing Davis," he says, his voice rising with urgency. "It's about making sure every officer gets it. Their duty is to protect, not to judge. Racial profiling like this? It's dangerous. It breeds mistrust, and when the community can't trust its police, we've failed, utterly failed." Can you feel the passion in his plea, the call for a reckoning that goes beyond one man? Smith glances at her notes, her brow furrowing. She's always prided herself on fairness, on treating everyone with respect, but oh, the bitter truth, she knows not every officer shares her values. "We'll launch an internal investigation," she declares, her voice resolute. "Davis will be suspended while we dig into this, but it's bigger than that. We need to overhaul how we train our officers, how we connect with the community." Michael's heart lifts at her sincerity. She's not just spouting platitudes, she's ready to fight for change. "Education and training are a start," he says, his tone earnest, his eyes alight with hope. But accountability's the key. Officers must know there are consequences for actions like this, not just for the person profiled, but for the whole community. Trust is fragile, and we can't afford to break it. Smith nods, her expression fierce with determination. We'll hold Davis accountable starting now, she vows. And we're diving deep into our training programs. We need to build trust, not just enforce laws. Just then, creak. The office door swings open, and Officer James Davis stands there, his face pale, his posture stiff, hesitation written in every line of his body. Smith gestures for him to enter, and Davis steps inside, his eyes flicking nervously between her and Michael, like a man facing a storm he didn't see coming. Officer Davis. Smith begins, her tone measured, but sharp as a blade. General Adams has shared his side of today's events. We've checked his background, and as you now know, he's a high-ranking officer in the U.S. Army. Your actions? Unprofessional. Uncalled for. Can you even grasp the gravity of what you've done? Davis shifts, his face flushing, the color rising like a tide of guilt. I didn't know he was a general, he stammers, his voice defensive, weak. I thought he was up to something. I was just doing my job. Smith's eyes narrow, her voice cutting like a whip. Your job is to protect and serve everyone in this community, not to judge based on looks. You hauled in a man without cause, treated him like a suspect, violated his rights. That's not doing your job, that's failing miserably. Davis's mouth opens, as if to argue, but he clamps it shut, his eyes darting to Michael, then back to Smith, shame creeping into his expression. I was just trying to keep the neighborhood safe, he mumbles, his voice barely audible. Michael stands, towering over Davis, his presence commanding, his calm a stark contrast to the officer's unease. Officer, he says, his voice steady but resonant with truth. Safety isn't about targeting people who look different. It's about upholding justice, treating everyone with respect. I was out for a walk, that's it, and yet you made me feel like a criminal in my own neighborhood. How is that keeping anyone safe? Davis's shoulders slump, his gaze dropping to the floor, avoiding Michael's piercing eyes. I'm sorry, he mutters, the words sounding more like fear than genuine remorse. I didn't mean for it to go this way. Michael watches him, sensing the apology's hollowness, driven by panic rather than understanding. This isn't just about an apology, he says, his voice firm, unwavering. It's about making sure this doesn't happen again, to anyone. Smith rises, her posture unyielding, her voice a gavel. Officer Davis, you're suspended, effective immediately. There'll be an investigation into your conduct, and, depending on the outcome, further steps will be taken. Davis nods, defeated, his face a mask of shame as he turns and slips out, the door closing with a soft click that echoes like a final judgment. Smith watches him go, then turns to Michael, her eyes earnest. We'll do better, she vows, her voice thick with resolve. I'll make sure of it. Michael nods, a flicker of hope stirring. I believe you, Sergeant, he says, his tone sincere. But this isn't just about Davis. It's about changing the culture that lets this behavior thrive. It starts with leadership, with officers like you. Smith sits back, her expression thoughtful, the weight of his words sinking in. Thank you for your patience today, General, she says softly. I know it hasn't been easy, but your words will spark change. Michael takes a deep breath, the day's burden lifting slightly, like a storm cloud parting. We all have a role to play, Sergeant, he says, his voice steady, purposeful. Let's play it well. He stands, extending his hand, and Smith shakes it firmly, a silent pact forged between them, a promise to fight for justice. As Michael leaves the office, a surge of purpose floods his heart. This incident, so painful, so unjust, is a chance to ignite real change. It's not just about him, oh no, it's about ensuring no one else endures what he did. He steps into the sunlight, resolve burning bright. The road ahead is long, but he's not alone, not anymore. The news of General Michael Adams's ordeal races through the police station like wildfire, whispers turning into heated conversations by the next day. Can you feel the tension crackling in the air? Officers huddle in break rooms, their voices low, some casting uneasy glances at Davis's empty desk, a stark reminder of the upheaval. The station buzzes with a charged energy, a sense that something monumental has shifted. Davis's suspension isn't just a slap on the wrist, it's a blazing signal that change is coming. ND fast. Sergeant Laura Smith stands before her officers at the morning briefing, her face stern, her voice steady as a rock. As you all know, Officer Davis has been suspended pending an investigation, she declares, her words ringing with authority. The incident with General Michael Adams violated our standards. We're here to protect and serve every member of this community with respect and fairness. A murmur ripples through the room. Some officers nod, others shift uncomfortably, the truth hitting hard. Our actions reflect on this entire department. Smith continues, her voice fierce. Incidents like this erode trust. We can't afford that. We must hold ourselves to the highest standards. Can you sense the urgency, the call to rise above? Officer Ramirez, young and earnest, raises his hand. Sergeant, what's going to happen to Davis? Smith meets his gaze, unflinching. That'll be decided by the investigation. He's suspended for now, but let's be clear, this isn't just about Davis. It's about all of us understanding our role. Racial profiling has no place here. The room falls silent, her words a weight pressing on every heart. We're rolling out new training on racial sensitivity and de-escalation, she adds. I expect full participation. We learn from this, and we make sure it never happens again. Officers file out, some pensive, others whispering, oh, the shift is palpable. Smith watches them go, her heart heavy but hopeful. Change won't come overnight, but it's starting. Meanwhile, Michael returns to his routines, his walks through those tree-lined streets, but his mind lingers on the incident. It's not just about him, it's about the bigger fight. Smith calls, updating him on the investigation, the steps forward, and he appreciates her resolve, but he knows, this is just the beginning. That afternoon, an invitation arrives to meet with community leaders and police reps to talk about what happened, to chart a path forward. Michael agrees, how could he not? These conversations are vital. The meeting's at a community center, a big room with chairs in a circle, brimming with anticipation. Faces fill the space, officers, leaders, activists, residents, all eager for change. Smith's there, with Ramirez and others, and Michael spots familiar community leaders he's worked with before. Mrs. Turner, an elder with a kind yet fierce demeanor, opens the meeting. Thank you all for coming, she says, her voice warm but commanding. We're here because of an incident that exposed issues we can't ignore. General Adams, we're grateful for your courage in sharing your story and joining us. Michael nods, feeling the room's eyes on him, his heart steady. What happened to me was wrong, he says plainly, his voice resonant. But this isn't just about me. It's about ensuring everyone feels safe, respected, fairly treated. It's about accountability. Can you hear the power in his call for justice? Officer Collins speaks up, earnest beside Smith. We want to do better. We're committed to change, but it'll take time. What should we focus on? Michael appreciates the openness. Start with training, he urges, not just on racial sensitivity, but on community engagement. Officers must see their role as protectors, not intimidators. And there must be consequences for those who cross the line. Mrs. Turner nods, her voice firm. Trust is everything. There's so much mistrust, especially in minority communities. We need to know the police are with us, not against us. Smith steps in, her voice strong. We're launching new training protocols now and reviewing stop-and-search policies. It's not just punishment, it's education, prevention. We want a partnership with the community, not division. Activist Jordan raises his hand, his tone urgent. It's great to hear commitment, he says. But we need transparency. When issues arise, they can't be buried. We need openness. Michael agrees, his voice resolute. Transparency and accountability are non-negotiable. Words aren't enough, people need to see action, feel heard. The room hums with ideas, community programs, regular meetings, officers as allies, not enforcers. A cautious optimism blooms. Oh, what a moment, a spark of unity in the fight for change. Oh, can you feel the electric pulse of hope vibrating through the community center as the meeting draws to a close, the air thick with the promise of change? Sergeant Laura Smith strides toward General Michael Adams, her eyes alight with gratitude, her voice brimming with sincerity as she says, "Thank you for being here." Her words carry the weight of a shared mission, a beacon in the storm of injustice. Your input is invaluable. We've got a long road ahead, but I truly believe we can make a real difference. Michael clasps her hand in a firm handshake, his heart swelling with resolve. "Change isn't easy, Sergeant," he replies, his voice steady but charged with passion. "But it's absolutely necessary. I'm ready to work with you, with everyone here, to ensure this community becomes a place where every single person feels safe." Can you imagine the power of that commitment? The fire of unity igniting in that moment. Smith nods, her gaze fierce with determination, a silent vow shining in her eyes. "We'll do it together," she declares, and Michael feels a surge of optimism, a spark that tells him this isn't just talk, this is the start of something real. As he steps out of the community center, the cool evening air brushes his face, and oh, what a sense of hope floods his soul. The conversations tonight were raw, honest, constructive, like seeds planted in fertile soil, ready to sprout into lasting change. There's still so much work to do, can you feel the weight of that challenge? But Michael's ready, his patience and effort fueled by a vision of justice and equality for all. He knows real change takes time, but for himself, his community, and everyone who believes in fairness, he's all in. The road ahead stretches long, but oh, for the first time in ages, Michael feels they're on the right path, a journey toward a brighter future. Back at the police station, the atmosphere's transformed. Can you sense the shift? Officer James Davis's suspension has sent shockwaves, a blazing message that prejudice won't stand. Morning briefings, once mundane, now crackle with seriousness, a new focus on professionalism, respect, and accountability. Officers file into mandatory training sessions on racial sensitivity and de-escalation, and oh, what a stir these spark. Uncomfortable but vital conversations bloom, peeling back layers of bias. In one session, Officer Beto Ramirez sits among his peers, his heart open, his mind racing as a community relations instructor dives into the thorny issue of implicit bias. Ramirez, with a few years on the force, always thought himself fair, just didn't he? But as the instructor's words sink in, a jolt of realization hits. He's made snap judgments, assumed things based on looks without even knowing it. Can you imagine that moment of self-discovery, the humbling truth that even good intentions can falter? The session urges officers to reflect, to consider how their actions ripple through others' lives, and Ramirez feels a shift, a desire to grow. Afterward, he catches up with Sergeant Smith in the station's bustling hallway, her eyes weary, but burning with determination. She's been spearheading these sessions, fighting to reshape a culture entrenched for years. "Sergeant," Ramirez says, falling into step beside her, his voice earnest. "These trainings, they're opening eyes. I've heard officers talking differently, rethinking things. It's working." Smith glances at him, a small smile breaking through her fatigue. "That's the goal, Beto," she says, her voice warm but resolute. "We can't expect change overnight, but every step counts. Every officer who starts seeing things differently, it's progress." Can you feel the hope in her words, the belief that they're moving forward? Ramirez nods, his heart heavy with reflection. "I've been thinking about Davis and General Adams," he admits, his voice soft but raw. "I've made mistakes, too. Not as blatant, but I've judged people before even talking to them. This training's making me see that." Smith places a hand on his shoulder, her touch steady, grounding. "We've all slipped up, Beto," she says, her eyes kind but firm. "What matters is learning, doing better. It's not about being perfect, it's about progress. You recognizing this? That's a sign we're on the right track." As they walk on, Smith's heart lifts, a flicker of hope amidst the grind. The incident with Michael shook the department to its core, but it sparked something vital: self-reflection, awareness, a hunger for improvement. She knows some officers resist, clinging to old ways, but many, like Ramirez, are waking up. Can you see the change taking root? Meanwhile, Michael feels the ripple effects of his ordeal washing over the neighborhood like a gentle tide. Calls and messages pour in from neighbors, some offering heartfelt support, others apologizing for standing by as he was arrested, their voices thick with regret. Oh, the power of those connections, the way his experience has opened eyes, not just in the police station, but in the community. Michael's heart warms at the outreach. He understands his stories become a catalyst, a wake-up call for all. One sunny afternoon, an invitation arrives to speak at a community forum hosted by the Neighborhood Association, a chance to bridge the gap between residents and law enforcement, to rebuild trust. Michael agrees, how could he not? Knowing these conversations are the lifeblood of change. That evening, the community center's packed, chairs filled with residents, their faces a mix of curiosity, concern, and hope. Officers, including Smith and Ramirez, stand at the back, their presence a quiet commitment to listen, to learn. Michael takes the stage, his navy jacket sharp, his gaze steady as he faces the crowd. "Thank you all for being here," he says, his voice strong, resonant, cutting through the room's anticipation. "What happened to me was tough, but it's brought us together tonight. I believe in the power of community. Together, we can create a safe, inclusive place for everyone." Can you feel the strength in his words, the call to unite? He pauses, letting the truth settle, his eyes sweeping the room. But we've got to face hard truths. Bias and prejudice exist, and safety isn't just about stopping crime. It's about every person feeling respected, valued, no matter how they look. An elderly man in the front row raises his hand, his voice trembling. "General Adams," he says, "I've lived here over 30 years. I've seen changes, but never thought this could happen. How do we stop it?" Michael nods, his heart steady. "It starts with awareness," he says, his voice firm. "Awareness of our biases, our actions' impact. The police are starting new training, but it's on all of us. We hold each other accountable. If we see wrong, we speak up. Trust comes from action." Oh, what a rallying cry. A young woman in the back raises her hand, her voice eager. "What can we residents do? How can we help?" Michael's eyes light up. "Get involved," he urges. "Come to forums like this, talk to your neighbors, meet the officers patrolling our streets. The more we connect, the stronger we are. It's about relationships, understanding." Smith steps forward, her voice clear, joining Michael. "General Adams is right," she says, her tone fierce with conviction. "We're committed to change in the department, but we need you. We're your police force, here to serve, to listen, to grow." The forum stretches over an hour, residents pouring out concerns, questions, ideas, the air alive with respect, a stark contrast to the tension after Michael's arrest. By the end, a sense of unity blooms, a shared vow to move forward together. Can you feel the hope, the strength in that bond? As the crowd thins, neighbors swarm Michael, shaking his hand, thanking him for his courage, sharing their own stories. He listens, his heart full, offering encouragement, feeling the community's power, the might of standing united. Smith approaches as the room empties, her eyes shining. "That was powerful," she says, her voice warm. "You've made a real impact. People are listening." Michael smiles, his resolve unwavering. "This is just the start, Sergeant," he says, his voice vibrant. "We've opened a conversation. We gotta keep it going. Change takes time, but tonight, a big step forward." Smith nods, her determination mirroring his. "Agreed. We'll keep pushing, together. As Michael leaves the center, the night sky sparkles with stars, and he breathes deep, a renewed purpose flooding his soul. The past days were brutal, but they've transformed into something powerful. The tides are turning, slow but sure. There's more work, more talks, but Michael's ready. Can you see his fire? Change is here, and he's hopeful, believing in a future where justice and equality reign. Weeks pass, and a new awareness blankets the neighborhood, the police station, echoing in homes and halls. Progress is made, but the work's not done. Michael resumes his walks, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot, and the suspicious stares? Gone. Replaced by nods, waves, smiles from neighbors who once kept their distance. "Good morning, General Adams," a woman calls, her dog wagging beside her, and Michael grins, "Morning." The shift is real. His message landed, change taking root. One morning, a patrol car approaches and Michael tenses. Old reflexes die hard, but it's Officer Ramirez, smiling through the window. "Good morning, General," he says, his voice friendly. "How's your day?" Michael relaxes, smiling back. "I'm good, Officer Ramirez. Just enjoying the weather." Ramirez nods, earnest. "Glad to hear. Need anything, just holler. We're here for the community." Michael's heart warms. "Thanks, officer. It's great to see progress." As Ramirez drives off, gratitude washes over Michael, not just for new policies, but for the mindset shift, the willingness to grow. The neighborhood, once judgmental, feels like home, and what a victory that is. Can you feel the electric buzz of progress as General Michael Adams strides into the police station later that day, his heart brimming with cautious hope? The air's different now, alive with a sense of purpose, a newfound professionalism that hums through the bustling corridors. Officers move with intent, their steps crisp, and some even pause to offer warm nods or quick greetings as Michael passes. Can you believe the shift? This isn't the same station that once echoed with Officer James Davis's prejudice. It's a place awakening to change. Michael's meeting with Sergeant Laura Smith is set, a chance to dive into the ongoing reforms, to share his vision for a better future, and what a pivotal moment this feels like. In Smith's office, the sergeant rises, her short brown hair framing a face radiating resolve, and extends a firm handshake that speaks of partnership. "General Adams, thank you for coming," she says, her voice warm yet commanding. "Please have a seat." Michael settles into the chair, admiring her directness, a trait he's always respected, honed by years of military service. Smith dives right in, her eyes steady, her tone brimming with conviction. "I wanted to update you on the investigation," she declares. "Officer Davis has been formally dismissed from the force. The probe confirmed his actions violated our policies, and his firing wasn't just punishment. It was about setting a blazing standard for what we demand from our officers." What a decisive move, a line drawn in the sand against injustice. Michael nods, his jaw firm, a quiet satisfaction stirring in his chest. "That was the right call, Sergeant," he says, his voice steady but laced with conviction. "Davis's behavior was utterly unacceptable. His actions eroded the trust between the police and the community, trust we can't afford to lose." Smith sighs, her expression thoughtful, a flicker of weariness in her eyes. She's been fighting this battle hard. "It's never easy letting someone go," she admits, her voice softer but resolute. "But we need officers who live and breathe fairness and justice. We've rolled out new training protocols, and we're doubling down on community engagement. Officers now attend monthly workshops on de-escalation and cultural awareness, and we're hosting regular community meetings to keep the lines of communication wide open." Can you feel the momentum, the commitment to a new way forward? Michael's heart lifts. He's seen these changes ripple through the neighborhood already. "These are crucial steps, Sergeant," he says, his voice warm with approval. "I've noticed the difference. The way officers interact with the community, it's transformed. People feel heard, valued." Smith's smile breaks through, a spark of pride lighting her face. We've gotten such positive feedback, she says, her tone vibrant. The community's connecting, engaging more. It's incredible how a shift in attitude can spark such a big impact. But Michael leans forward, his voice dropping, serious, urgent. Oh, the weight of what's still at stake. We can't stop here, Sergeant, he urges, his eyes blazing with purpose. We've got to keep this fire burning. It's not just about policies or training, it's about culture. We need a culture of respect, where every officer knows their duty is to protect and serve everyone. No bias, no exceptions. Smith nods, her determination mirroring his, a silent vow etched in her gaze. Absolutely, General, she says, her voice fierce. We've made strides, but there's more to do. I'm all in, and I know others are too. Michael rises, extending his hand, his heart full of resolve. Thank you, Sergeant, for your leadership, for taking this to heart, he says, his voice rich with gratitude. Change is tough, but together, we can make a real difference. Smith shakes his hand firmly, her grip a promise of solidarity. Thank you, General Adams, she replies, her eyes shining. Your courage in speaking out lit this fire. We won't let it die. As Michael steps out of the station, a wave of closure washes over him, like a storm finally breaking. The incident that began with suspicion, with the sting of cuffs and Davis's hostility, has blossomed into meaningful dialogue, tangible change. Oh, what a transformation, a reminder that even the darkest moments can birth growth. Michael's proud of these steps, but he knows vigilance is everything. The fight for justice, for equality, demands relentless effort, unwavering commitment, and he's ready, more than ready, to see it through. Can you feel his resolve, his unshakable belief in a better tomorrow? Oh, what a heart-wrenching yet inspiring tale General Michael Adams's story weaves in. A racist police officer arrests an innocent black man. Turns out he's American Army general. My heart aches for Michael, a decorated hero, unjustly cuffed for simply walking in his own neighborhood. Can you imagine the sting of that betrayal? The raw injustice, fueled by Officer Davis's blatant prejudice, stirs a deep anger, but Michael's resilience? It's a beacon of hope. His calm defiance, refusing to let bias break him, moved me to tears. He faced a system that failed him with grace, channeling his pain into a catalyst for change. What strength! Davis's downfall, his dismissal, felt like a thunderclap of justice. Yet, it's Michael's call for systemic reform, not just punishment, that truly resonates. His words to Sergeant Smith, urging a culture of respect, hit me hard. How powerful to turn personal hurt into a fight for all. Smith's commitment, Ramirez's awakening to his own biases, and the community's unity at the forum filled me with hope. Those honest conversations, the shared resolve to rebuild trust, oh, they're the seeds of a brighter future. This story's emotional weight lies in its truth. Prejudice persists, but so does the human spirit's capacity to rise above. Michael's journey, from victim to visionary, reminds us that change starts with courage, with voices like his refusing to be silenced. I'm stirred by the community's embrace, the neighbors' nods replacing suspicious stares. It's a testament to collective healing. This tale's value? It's a call to action, urging us to confront bias, to build bridges, to believe in justice. Michael's not just a general, he's a hero for equality, and I'm rooting for his fight with all my heart.